LeGrandzilla here. I just wanted to start a series talking about model building, and I wanted to start today with styrene models. Most of you have built models before, maybe built model airplanes, cars, things like that. Most of those are styrene models, and they are a type of plastic. They use this kind of glue, which we used to call airplane glue. This is a tester's product. What it basically does is it bonds the plastic to itself. It sort of melts it. Most beginner model makers started out with styrene, and I have a few of them. I've kind of gotten away from doing styrene models. I like to work with vinyl and resin models, and I'll be showing you more about those later. But for now, I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the styrene models. And I don't build anymore. I don't build airplanes and cars and those kinds of things, but I like to build monsters. And so some of the monster models that are out there are some that back a long time ago when I was a kid, Aurora put out a whole series of monster models like Godzilla, King Kong, the creature from the Black Lagoon, which I have right here, and we'll look at it a little closer. They're all have been remade by companies like Revel, Monogram, and Polar Lights, and so it's kind of nostalgic for me to rebuild these. But some of these I built when I was a kid, and then came back from being at college or whatever, and found out that they all went into a garage sale and were gone forever. So, but that's all right, because they're fun to build, and I didn't do that good a job as a kid. One of the ones I did, this creature from the Black Lagoon, I think I'll go ahead and show you this way. There he is. When I built this a long time ago, the instructions said, you paint him green, give him red lips, paint the water blue, and so forth. You don't want to do that, no matter what the instructions say. When I saw this guy, I thought, yeah, he needs to look kind of like a fish. So I made him nice and shiny, and I put a lot of different colors in him. I can't get a real good focus there. That's a little better. But you can kind of see. You can do a lot with these models, even though they're just the styrene plastic. And so that's the creature from the Black Lagoon. I made the water kind of clear looking. I didn't paint the nameplate to show up a lot. I just didn't think it added a lot to it. Another one I did was it's a very simple little kit of a tarantula. This Gigantics tarantula, and I just made a little base for that, put a little toy tank on there, and I got a diorama of the tarantula from the old 50s movie, although I don't think there was a tank in that one. Here's another one from an Gigantics kit. This is the giant scorpion, but rather than use it with the city scene that they provided for it, I made my own scene that is supposed to be sort of a take on Clash of the Titans. And I took these pillars, and they're from a pet store. They're an aquarium ornament, and I cut them up and ground them and did different things, repainted them to help them look like ruins. But I painted this to look like a Death Stalker scorpion. I looked at pictures online of what they're supposed to look like. Okay, so there's a couple there. One of my favorite monster models of all time was, of course, Godzilla. And this is one of the first Godzilla models there was. And I'll show you what the box looks like here. Many of you might have seen this box art before. Familiar with it. Anyway, that's the old that's what the old Aurora kit looked like, and This is a Polar Lights version of that. Let's move this back here a little bit. But instead of just painting them green with the red lips and so forth, and one of the things you need when you do styrene models, you need to do sanding of the parts, get them sanded and looking nice. And when you do that, you lose some detail. And so what I did on this is I sculpted in some skin detail in the areas particularly where I had sanded it off. And usually what you see here is it looks smooth where you have a seam. And so I sculpted in some details. It's not the best, but also I painted a background for it. And then I added tufts of smoke and I built it right into, so that I got some pieces of rubble and things like that going into the picture, trying to make it look as like it's coming right out of the picture. I basically just painted dark sky going down to orange from the reflections of the fire, and then I painted these little buildings and flames and things, and I painted some smoke in, but then I made my smoke out of pieces of fiber like you find inside pillows. And the teeth are real chunky on this thing, so I did some sharpening of them, worked on those a little bit. Yeah, the first time I built one of these, it looked a whole lot different. Another thing is on the wrist, it's a real sharp definition there, the real skinny wrist on this kit. So I built the wrist up so that I thought it looked a little better. But to give an example of not doing seams, is this guy here. This is a big Polar Lights kit also of the 1954 Godzilla. Pretty nice sculpt for a styrene kit. But this thing is 16 inches tall, and this is like the second model I built once I started getting back into building them. And you see some of the rubble I put in there. And I like to do a little extra things with my kits, but look here, this is how it looks. You sand it. See, you lost the definition there, and you can still see there's a hump there where the seam is. Same with around the neck. You see it there too. That can all be sanded off, but then it just looks smooth, and you lost that definition. So then what you need to do is go in and redefine that with maybe some putty or some epoxy clay or something like that. But that's what I like to do. I haven't done that on this one. I may either redo it, or I might just try to sell it at G-Fest as is someday. But that's a little bit about styrene model kits, and in the future we'll look at resin kits and vinyl kits. Probably vinyl kits next, because that's sort of the next step you'd want to take. And then resin is the one that's probably the most well, they're the most expensive, and they're probably the hardest to do for some people until you get used to it.